Well, there are like three angles to this story. The first is what Imran Khan said. The second is what Husain Haqqani said. The third is for us to analyze and understand. Okay? So what Imran Khan said is that the army hired Husain Haqqani to lobby against him, against Imran Khan and his government. Now that people already know in detail, so we don't really need to go there. Let's move to what Husain Haqqani said. First, I saw his tweet and then I called him and he explained it to me as well. What he says is, this is his position. He says that it was neither the army nor the PTI that contacted me. I was given a subcontract by Robert Grenier, who was the former CIA station manager in Islamabad. And he says that Mr. Grenier told him that he was in Islamabad in the 80s and 90s and that he has been not watching the situation in Pakistan closely. So he needs a paper, or rather two papers, one on the political situation in Pakistan, research papers, and one on the economic situation in Pakistan. So they agreed on a sum, I think about, he was paid in about $30,000 in two installments, and Mr. Haqqani wrote those two papers, or one paper, whatever, one paper on political, on the political situation, one on the economic situation, for Robert Grenier. So what he's saying is that the government of Pakistan may have given a contract to Robert Grenier, or PTI might have given a contract to Robert Grenier, but that's not my concern. I was given a subcontract to do a particular piece of work. I did that, so I cannot be blamed of either working for the government or the PTI, or either working against the government or against the PTI. His second point was, he said that I have lived long enough in Washington to understand how the lobbying works. Okay? And he says that anybody who lobbies for anybody in Pakistan, particularly a foreign country in Washington, anybody who lobbies for anybody in Washington, particularly for a foreign country, knows that he or she has to register himself or herself as a foreign agent with the US Justice Department, and that is called FARA, Foreign Agents Registration Act. And that law is very, very clear. If you do not register yourself, you are doing an illegal work. So he said, I did not register with FARA. That means I never lobbied for anyone. I was only focused on one particular aspect of this entire lobbying contract between Mr. Grenier and the government of Pakistan, or between Mr. Grenier and the PTI. So I did not lobby for anyone. Now, technically and legally, yes, he is right. You cannot blame him for lobbying for or against the PTI, or lobbying for or against the army. He did not. He might have. That is, when Imran Khan says that he lobbied, he probably means that when Mr. Haqqani meets something, he might have said something, and that is like in a private conversation or something, but that is not lobbying technically, okay? But knowing Mr. Haqqani, I also feel that he is too smart to make this kind of mistake. He has lived in Washington for almost 20 years now, and he wants to continue living here, and he will not do anything that puts him on the other side of the law in the US. So I believe him. What was happening is rather unclear. Yes, there was a person, an influential person, who was lobbying for someone in Washington. We don't know. According to the papers filed by Mr. Grenier under FARA, under the Foreign Agents Registration Act, he was hired by the government of Pakistan, and he was working for the government of Pakistan. Now, when the government changed, he was hired when the PTI was still in power. But when the government changed, his contract did not stop. It should have. It always does. because you are hired by a particular government, and when that government goes, then your contract ends, and the lobbyist was also is asked to leave, and the new government, if it feels the need to, hires its own lobbyist. In this case, it did not happen, and that is why the PTI says that this was an arrangement, although the contract was signed in our name, in the name of the PTI government. We were not a party to it. It was, according to the PTI, this thing was arranged. The former Army Chief General Bajwa, who used this arrangement to lobby against the PTI. Now, this is something you cannot prove. The people they lobbied with are not going to come forward and tell you who they lobbied for or against. Mr. Grenier is not going to come and tell you who he lobbied for or against. Husain Haqqani has already said that, look, I had nothing to do with it. It's all a guesswork. Okay, we can guess that the group that was hired to lobby might have lobbied against the PTI, might have lobbied against the army, might have lobbied for the army, might have lobbied for the PTI. That we will never know. And it is one of those things that we will have to forget and move ahead with.